Proxies. Usually the first step when you are using the tool. Let's imagine just that you are not using any proxies. You will send a lot of requests to the different search engine, let's say Google, when you are starting harvesting keywords and URLs, and you will be very quickly blacklisted. So that's for sure something you do not want to do. I strongly advise you to maybe buy some shared proxies or private proxies. They are quite cheap, and you will have good reliability with them. Or you can just use the tool and harvest free proxies over the internet. You can also just add them manually if you prefer. So that's a way to do it. You just add the IP in the text field here. You can add a username if you want and a password. And you get this in your table. Note that you have a column which is the weight. What does this mean? You could have like private proxy or shared proxies, which are usually better than the free one you can harvest. So you may want to give a higher weight for this one so that they are used more often than the other one. If you set a value to 2 here, it will be more likely to be used twice as with a value of 1. If you just have one proxy, for sure it does not make any difference. You can say that I want to delete a line or to reset everything in the table. Then you have a section here which is to import proxies from a text file. That's quicker than to add line by line. So you can specify the separator between the IP port username and also the separator between each of the proxy, usually a new line when you are importing from a text file. You then have some option to harvest the proxies, the speed of the proxies, fast, medium, or slow. You will see that's something you can define in the preferences. Which kind of proxy do you want? All, anonymous, or elite? And if you want to test them against Google, Bing, or Yahoo. You can also select some countries. Let's say that you don't want Chinese proxy. You can just uncheck this specific country. You could uncheck all and just keep US proxies. Please also notice the allow unknown box here at the top, which is quite important. A lot of sources do not precise the country of the proxy. So in this case, if you have this box unchecked, this proxy will be ignored. So usually that's something you want to be checked so that all the proxies will be tested. You have the target number of proxies that you want to get, and also the number of concurrent connections that are used to make the harvesting. Then you just click on the Harvest and Add to List button, and you wait that it's done. Usually it's pretty fast. So here we have asked for 50 proxies. Here they are. You get the country, you get the response time, and you get the source where we find these proxies. You could also click on the Test List Only button. What will this do? Usually it's something you will use when you have already imported a set of proxies through a text file or added the proxy manually, and you want to test their speed, or you want to test them against the search engine. But you don't want to harvest new proxies because you've already added them in the table. So in this case, just click this button and you will see the response time, and they will be filtered by the options which are defined here. So if you say fast, you will only keep fast proxies. If you say test on Google or test on Bing, they will be tested against these two search engines, and we will only keep the proxies which are passing the test on these two. You can go in the preferences, connections. Here you can default the number of concurrent connections, 30, this is the default, and also the maximum value of the slider here, which can be adjusted with the maximum value here. Then you could go in the proxy section and define what fast, medium, and slow mean to you. So by default, fast means under 3 seconds, medium under 10, and slow under 30. So we will keep all the proxies which are faster than 10 seconds. This is the default, it can be overridden. You can also define if you want to keep all kind of proxies, only anonymous or innate. And if you want to test them against Google, Bing, and Yahoo, that's unchecked by default. Then you have a list of predefined sources. Only one is selected here, and you will see a pattern in this column. This is quite meaningful, and it will look on the different websites, the sources, and trying to find proxies which are matching this pattern. The space are not relevant in this case, meaning that you could say IP, a lot of spaces, colon, port, and it will find other proxies, even if they contain space or if they do not contain any space. If you want to delete some of this line, you could do it with the button on the right. You could also adjust the importance of each of these sources by setting up and down here. You could add a new source, specify the pattern, and the type of proxy you will find on this website. By default, it's all, but you could know that the source only contains anonymous proxy, for instance. You could specify the country here if you know that it's really part of the website. Let's take, for example, this one. We know for sure that it will only give us US proxies. And eventually, you have the bucket size. That's a bit tricky, but it's some little optimization. When you go on a website which is references proxies, usually the proxies on the bottom of the page are very old, and you do not want to waste time just testing this kind of proxies, because usually they are just dead. So what the tool will do is go through each of the URLs that are selected and test the first 20 proxies you find on this page. If it's matching the target number, that's fine, it will stop. Otherwise, it will start again with the next 20, etc. That's it for the proxies part. So as a reminder, I advise you strongly to use proxies.